If you're new around here, we're Chris and Sarah, and that's our pup Kramer. We're husband and wife entrepreneurs who since 2018 have been traveling full-time in our DIY Sprinter van that we recently sold to a new owner. Now we're starting all the way back at the beginning, building out our brand new, even smaller van. Our channel is typically more about our travels and adventures by both plane and van, but since COVID had other plans for our travels this summer, we're staying put a little bit longer and instead are taking you along the process of what it's like to turn this into this. Let's go.
This van's tall. All right. So before we get into talking about the layout of our van and what that's going to look like, we want to talk about the actual van itself, because obviously this one looks pretty different from our first van. So we're just going to run through the basics and sort of how we landed on this van.
Oh, it is a story to behold.
It's actually a nightmare.
Oh, it was a nightmare.
So our last van was a 170 extended Sprinter van, and it was white and it was awesome. We got a great deal on it, and that van was so good to us. But for a few reasons, we just decided that it's too much van for us. We needed something a little smaller that maybe could go full-time or one day part-time, because if we were to buy a house one day, that 170 extended at the houses that we've looked at in the past, it wouldn't fit in the driveway. And so we really needed something that could go full-time or part-time, and we loved our Sprinter van, and we've loved the diesel that Mercedes makes. It's just a great car.
So then we do the entire Google search, typing in Mercedes Sprinter vans. We go
over and over. Literally, I went to every single Mercedes dealership's website in the continental United States.
We finally found one in Seattle, Washington. We called about it. Then we were going to call the next day to pursue this van. Sold.
Within minutes before we got there. This happened 3 more times before we finally landed on this van. We looked in Hartford, Knoxville, Seattle, and then Austin. All of them disappeared right from underneath us. Within minutes, they said, "You literally just missed it. We just sold that van."
Then we made the call to Rochester, New York, and the van had sold too.
But the guy on the phone said, "But could I interest you in a 4x4 van?" We said, "For the right price, maybe."
You win.
It's a pretty stripped down van with the exception of it came with these walls, which are going to have to go. It came with a subfloor, which we may end up using again.
Yes.
And
it came with this partition thing.
Which in some ways we really like, but it's actually going to have to go. We're not going to keep it. But so those are really the only main add-ons, and it came with satellite radio.
Which we'll never use.
So we're working with a lot less space. This van, since it's a 144-inch wheelbase versus the 170 extended wheelbase, it's about 5 feet shorter than our last van. Almost. But before we start actually building, we're going to go ahead and walk you guys through our blueprint layout and how we've come down to organizing this van.
Yeah, so if you've ever wanted to know how to plan to start building a van, watch this.
We are hopping right into the final plans for the van. And this is coming, you guys are coming in today, several weeks, actually months of planning's already gone into it. So I've already got my spreadsheet, which I want to show you guys, and I've already done the basic blueprint of what our van layout is going to look like. So I'm going to show you guys sort of what we're thinking about doing right now. What's the password on my iPad? Our last van and this van, I use just basic graph paper. And I'm drawing it today on the iPad just so we can share with you guys what I'm drawing, but usually it just looks like me sitting down with a notebook. Some people use SketchUp, which is like a 3D model online where you can plan the van there, but I like just basic graph paper. And know that this is sort of the final blueprint until we actually start building things out, and we change as we go, which really our last van, we didn't really change that much. It may have been a couple inches here or there, but pretty much this worked pretty well for us. This van is about 10.25 feet long, and it's about 6 feet wide at the widest point, 5.5 at the more narrow points. So we're just gonna do the most conservative numbers on that. All right, so here's the basic layout of the van. So this is the front of the van. And this is the back. This is driver's side. And then passenger side. All right, so the passenger side in our van is where we have our van sliding door. And that van sliding door, we've already measured, it's about 4.5 feet wide. So we're gonna mark that off. And the step inside goes in about 9 inches. So this is a very rough blueprint. It just gives us a basic idea. All right, so something different about this van from our last van is we're using flare spaces. And if you don't know what flare spaces are, they go in where the windows go in the van, and they essentially give you a few extra inches. You can do it on one side or both sides. We're gonna do it on both sides. So we can actually sleep side to side and have the same length as if we slept front to back. We really wanted to use these in our first van. We just didn't get to. So they're gonna go right in the back of our van. We're gonna have a queen size bed this time versus almost a king like we did last time, which is still plenty of room. FlareSpace on their website, they actually do provide different blueprints that work well with our FlareSpace. So better ways to utilize a smaller area and actually getting extra room. It's hot. So we went running this morning. Unfortunately, when you go running first thing in the morning and you come out to the van build later morning, it's really hot. It's not all sweat, I just showered, so it's wet hair, but beg pardon if I start like glistening. Anyway, right here we have the shower, and this shower, our last one was about a 24 by 36 if you've seen that. This one is going to be about 24 by 30, add a few inches for the side wall, and that's about the right size. And then this right here is actually going to be a bench. So this is the sliding door here, and we're going to build the kitchen, and the kitchen is the biggest sort of, we don't really know what it's going to look like, how it's going to work, which is why we're going to go to IKEA later in this video to sort of get an idea of what cabinets they provide, the different sizes, the different, you know, color cabinet fronts, all that kind of thing, sort of narrow down our wish list on that. I'm not gonna be able to do a sink this big this time. We showed you already. We already know sort of what we're after. We're just looking for measurements and to see, just to make sure there's nothing else we've missed. So we're gonna come down here this time to get our ideas, take serious notes, and then hopefully for the second trip to IKEA, we'll be able to order online and just pick it up at the front so we don't have to do this whole like going through IKEA. It's fun, but we're trying to social distance as much as possible. So this is our one time in, hopefully. Feeling very accomplished. We got in and out of IKEA in 49 minutes flat. I'm really proud. And then we made decisions. Like, it wasn't just like this rush trip. Like, we did a really good job. I feel good. Do you feel good?
I feel good.
Let's go home. And then right here, we're actually gonna have a little pop-up extra counter that's just gonna store on the side of the cabinet. But that'll give us extra counter space when we're cooking. It's a great cutting board, that kind of thing. Since we are gonna be working on the road, this time around, we are going to, again, use the swivel seat here. And then right here, we're going to mount a lagoon table. And then these two are gonna be able to share a tabletop. So that's that. And you may have seen similar layouts like this. We actually have a couple friends who have very similar layouts in some of their vans. Gamma Nomad up in Calgary, Alberta, they convert vans and they've done a similar van. We actually have checked out their vans a little bit and we've talked to them and we just really love the design they designed. And then also our friends Connor and Alex of Axe Avenger also did a really great job doing their van layout, and they just released their van tour a few weeks back, did an amazing job. So check that out, I'll link it down below. Pulled a lot of inspiration from them, talked to them a lot, and they know we're pulling inspiration from them. So thank you, Connor and Alex. You guys did a beautiful job in your van. Ours is gonna be different from theirs for sure. There's different things we're using different components. Gonna have a different aesthetic a little bit, but the basic idea of having kitchen, bathroom, bench, bed, sort of the same. You can only get so creative in these vans. And before we can really start cutting in the walls and saying this is exactly what our van's gonna look like, we actually have to go beneath the van. Everything's so new and clean under here. It's so clean. But it's clean for now. I think once it's dirty, it means we've had a lot of fun in the van. A lot of adventures.
I just can't do it without you. 'Cause without you, it won't do. I just can't do it without
So, we have the blueprints, we've measured in the van, we've put tape on the floor before, we've planned out what we want, but in order to make sure we can actually achieve what we want and can afford what we want, we have a detailed spreadsheet, and we did this last time around too, and I think we came within about $300 of our budget, which is really impressive. So what we do is we list every single item that we want and sort of what our wish list is, any services we're gonna have to pay for, that kind of stuff. We do the quantity we need, the cost per item, and the total cost it's gonna be. And then we categorize it too. And then if we're weighing our options, say we're considering 3 different ceiling fans, we'll put all 3 different options at the best price we were able to find online, the different links here. And then once we're ready to buy it, once we decide exactly which one we want, we just click the link, double check to make sure it's the best price online, and send. This works out pretty well for us. I try to keep as good of a grasp on what we've been spending as possible. It does get complicated and it gets very confusing very fast, so I try to make a habit of just checking things off one at a time. When you're planning to buy stuff, it's really easy to just want to buy it all at one time and be like, all right, I have everything I need for my van build. I'm ready to go. I can just get to cracking on it. I don't have to worry about things being delayed in the mail, especially right now during COVID. That's been our biggest holdup and will continue to be our biggest holdup, is things are just back ordered and everything is delayed. And like our refrigerator's coming from Italy, which is back ordered right now, 2 or 3 weeks out from getting it. So that's going to be kind of common no matter when you're building your van. Keep track of it here. So this is just one way to stay organized. This is what's worked well for us. May not work well for you, but I do encourage you to keep track of your budget as cleanly and as efficiently as possible and be as detailed as possible. I keep it down to the cent. You may not, but that's what works well for us. Right, I've lost my sunglasses again. All right. Last thing we're going to talk about as far as planning on this van is the exterior of sort of what we're going to do. We have to install roof rails, we have to install a fan, and we're actually going to do an AC unit, which I know is sort of taboo. That's one of the, so far, 2 main changes to this van. And then we've also bought more luminous gear this time. So we're getting a louder, a brush guard, we're getting a lot of luminous.
We'll show them in a different video.
We'll show you guys that later. But know that that's stuff that we have to do to the exterior of the van. First things first, it's going to be the roof rails and some stuff on the interior as far as insulation for sound and temperature and that kind of stuff, but that's going to be a whole other video. So now you know sort of how we plan and lay out our van. It's a lot of work, actually. It's getting hot. It's 12:30 in the afternoon. Kramer's inside in the air conditioning, but I think we're going to bring him outside to get a little exercise, and we're going to cool off for a bit.
Well, go ahead, get in. All right.
Ready?
You may be wondering who the 2 other dogs are. This is Franklin, and this is Flynn.
Flynn, here, look. Buddy. It's a lot of puppies.
Storm's coming over there. We didn't make it. Now we're trying to cover the holes.
I want the paint, the pretty paint.